Welcome to the third of a 7-part series on magnetic workflows. In this series, I'm going to explain the different parts of workflows, how they fit together, and ultimately design and implement a simple workflow. By the end of this series, I hope you'll have a better understanding of how this feature works and how to best use it to your company's advantage. In this video, I'm going to explain what triggers are, how they work, and where they fit into the function of a workflow. I will also explain the concept of trigger variables, which will be used in later videos about conditions and actions. What is a trigger? A trigger is the first step of a workflow and determines when one will be started. Triggers are associated with common events in the magnetic ecosystem, such as a task being closed, an opportunity being signed, a project changing status, or an accounting document such as a cost estimate being created. Thinking in terms of if this happens, then do that, triggers are the broadest possible form of if this happens. As you can see, triggers are broken down into categories relevant to their source. These categories also provide insight as to the kind of trigger variables which will also be accessible. Selecting a trigger will reset the conditions of a workflow, as these are trigger specific, but they will leave the actions alone. When a trigger is fired, it will usually be fired due to something within magnetics such as a task. As such, this trigger will come with a list of trigger variables. Think of these variables as context-aware attributes associated with the data that fired the trigger in the first place. For example, if I close a task named task1, the task name variable on the task close trigger will be task1. If I then close a different task named task2, this name variable will be task2 during the second workflow execution. Trigger variables are important because they allow a workflow to be context-aware in its conditions and actions. I will dig deeper into how to access these variables when I talk about conditions and actions. Triggers are caused by real-life humans using the magnetic system. If an automated workflow changes the status of a task, this will not fire off other workflows because it was not a user performing this change. This concludes the explanation of triggers. The next video will go over conditions and how to use them to make your workflows laser focused.